First Spin. Welcome to First Spin, a show where I learn about how to use the Parallax propeller without having any prior programming experience. And rather than do this on my own, I have enlisted the help of 3 experts. What? It is completely different today.
Yeah, but we gave Roy the week off.
We did. It's true.
We're going to have to deal with some other types of experts this week.
Yes. Today we have the super duper cool Ken Gracey.
I'm a boring business guy, but thanks.
Expert number 2. And then we have the doctor, Dr. Talbot. Hello.
Well, hi. It's nice to be here.
Expert
Hi,
number 3.
So between the 4 of us, we've pretty much covered, all of the useful skills on the planet.
Yes. I think this could be a zombie tech, but no, it's a first spin.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Do you think it would be like Gilligan's Island? You know, the rich guy and the professor and Ginger and Marianne.
We got the jack of all trades. We've got the nurse. We got the doctor, who also doubles as
Wait,
like
does that make
chemical.
you Marianne?
What? Who, me?
Not me.
You? I don't know. I've never watched the show, so I'm terribly culturally.
That's
like,
true. That's
yeah.
true.
And then of course our business guy.
I'm
So-
a skipper after hours.
Actually, you know, Ken sort of looks like the professor.
It's true.
I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
We'll have to do celebrity lookalikes.
So, Addie, could you quickly explain why things are so different this week?
Yes, because I have finally succeeded in getting us to do a Micromedic based show.
Oh, I thought we just
Today.
didn't like Roy anymore.
No, he's great. He's wonderful, but I don't want to talk interpreter. So whoops. That might be the real reason. But no, just kidding. So Micromedic, I'm a nurse, so we got to talk about this Micromedic contest. And I thought
you
it'd
brought
be
that
great.
up before. Is that that's some sort of competition, right?
Yes. And I'm going to actually let Ken and Doc talk about what it is. Let's talk about what this is first of all.
Doc, you want to start us out?
Well, you know, I work with the U.S. Army at the Telemedicine Advanced Technology Research Center, and through this other office called the Defense Medical Research Program, we were thinking, well, what could normal people do? What could, hobbyists and makers and engineers what could people do to make medical devices or training aids or things for health or things that could benefit military medicine? And so we were interested in doing a contest, not only to show like what new things could be made, but also to see things that we pay a lot of money for the Defense Department and see what someone could do in their garage, for $50 or $60 that we spend tens of thousands of dollars for now.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of see what everybody in this country can come up with. It's
Cool.
kind of a what if.
Sure. So I think from what I understand, people need to send an application in, and the application, let's see, it's pretty much to make a project that does something medical or, like you said, for military medicine. I mean, are we opening it up?
Really broad.
Okay.
So pretty much just about anything that's medicine applies to military medicine.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's only a few things that wouldn't. So military medicine's extremely broad.
Okay, so because I feel like some people might be interpreting that as, like on the battlefield with mortar shells flying past your head type of thing, when it could be unit based, like a hospital.
Well, that's true, but we also have hospitals and rehab centers and things like that, and so it could be anything. That's probably most things that are medical. The only area we don't do very much in is geriatrics, because the VA handles that.
Sure.
Usually by the time people get there, but we also do pediatrics,
Mm-hmm.
and which was a military pediatrician. We do We do things related to the battlefield, but also with transport, also within the hospital sort of stuff. We also spend a lot of resources and time on physical therapy and rehab and neurocognitive evaluation. So what's considered military medicine is extremely broad.
Gotcha. Okay, so then the contest goes from what looks like January 13th to July 1st.
So the contest goes through July 31st, and then August is when the judges convene to look at everything that's come in. And during this time, there's a lot of back and forth with the applicants. So they present their ideas, and then Dr. Talbot or whoever else wants to, who's on the Micromedic team, jumps in and gives them some input about how to tailor their project or make it more useful to meet the intent of the contest.
Okay. And so the basic requirements for these projects are that they use a microcontroller, they are innovative, either by being creative or by showing a cheap method, that they're decently built and well documented, and that obviously this project is useful. So in terms of the projects that you guys have seen already, what are we seeing that you guys want to encourage more of, and what are you guys seeing that you want to refrain from encouragement?
That's a really tough one. I think that, I think that people maybe think that the only thing that's useful might be things that are only on the battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
And that they could go broader. We even put up a list of potential ideas just to encourage people to try things. And, we might want to see someone do a seizure detector, but we also have there something to assess someone's fertility, and health applications like that, or something that could dispense medication to someone on a time basis would be a cool application. What we're seeing, like more than half the applications or ideas coming in are usually monitoring applications. And like everybody, like the same 48 hours says, I want to make something that can detect your vital signs and report when you're in trouble to you in a wireless manner to a central place. And we have like 10 gazillion of those. And
yeah, like sleep apnea, SIDS for babies, and these are quite common.
Yeah, and I guess monitoring applications are okay. We don't want to discourage people who've put in to do those, but I would say for new people, considering this, that a lot of people are trying to do those already, so that might be a fairly saturated area.
Sure.
Or if you want to consider something really useful and unique that you do with the monitoring. And you see, one thing that's really cool about this contest is it has a lot of unique features. I mean, first of all, to enter the contest, you don't have to know exactly what you're going to make yet. One of the unique features is the Micromedic idea kit.
Yep.
And that kit is, it's amazing. There's reviews on it in a couple of the magazines. It's worth about $400. And there's one version that has an Arduino shield for the prototyping board, another that uses Propeller Board of Education. But they have everything from medical sensors to a little, a nebulizer and blood pressure cuff to pH paper and urinalysis strips to pressure sensors and tilt sensor and infrared remote stuff and cool LED displays. So the idea is to try to inspire you. And so we have a feature when you enroll as a contestant to submit a video. And if you have an idea what your project is, cool. If you don't, you can say, hey, we would like to be in the contest because of X, Y, or Z reason. And then you submit a 1-minute video on YouTube or something. And you don't necessarily have to know what you're going to make yet.
Okay.
And I think people think they have to have the idea all nailed down. That's one unique aspect. So that we're giving out, $40,000 worth of free kits to people.
Right.
The other thing that's unique is the fact that we have an online social media presence through the Parallax forum for Micromedic. And you can write to us. You can say, I have this idea. Does this sound like bad or does it sound good? And what I'll do is myself or someone else will say, hey, you kind of are on the right track here. Have you thought of this particular application, or could you refine it to do this other thing, or that's not a good idea, but maybe this one is. Have you thought about that? So we're giving people help along the way, and the forum members in the community around microcontrollers, especially the Parallax community, is giving people a lot of support and advice as well.
Mm-hmm.
People are forming teams online, doing that sort of thing. We're seeing collaborations. So that's another unique aspect. And I think a third unique aspect is we wanted the broadest audience possible to be able to participate.
Mm-hmm.
And so the contest is open to anybody of any age who is a U.S. or Canadian resident.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're under 18, or you're in a school group or some sort of club, there's a separately judged educational track. And the main difference between that, besides the separate judging, is the fact that we can have minors involved,
Mm-hmm.
and also the fact that you get, the prizes are not cash prizes. The prizes are these biz prize packages of cool microcontroller and robotics stuff, which we haven't announced what those are yet. And so that's another aspect. So we're trying to say, hey, here we want to put idea kits out there. We want people to let us know who they are. We want to engage them, and we want them to have the best submissions possible. So we're helping them along the way as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are, and we have the social media. So I think those are sort of unique. I mean, I have not seen any other contests do that quite yet.
Yeah,
So,
it feels like this, unlike many contests that you see around the DIY and electronics community, isn't about throwing a contest. It's more about creating a situation where some innovations can actually occur.
So then,
sure.
yeah. So then, have you guys seen a lot of applications from students and hobbyists, or are they mostly like, where are your applications coming from? In other words.
Well, let's see. We have several from physicians who are already working with electronics. I think it's pretty common in our industry, and Arduinos, propellers, these microcontrollers. You see people that are experts in other areas.
Mm-hmm.
So often medical, they're coming out. We've seen a handful of students, some hobbyists. It's a pretty good cross section. I think this is about what we expected.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you guys see so I know you were saying that some of the projects that you're trying to, I don't want to say not encourage, but things that could be worked on are like basic monitoring, vitals monitoring, and wirelessly sending these to a central repository, etc. Do you see that the non-medical experts are doing this as often as the medical experts?
Yeah, I think the non-medical experts are defaulting to that now.
Oh, I see.
If you have a monitoring app, what if you had like a help button, and we could locate someone and then send their vital signs along on your screen?
Mm-hmm.
That would be a useful application.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But
Right.
just sending the vital signs isn't enough.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example of a monitoring application that is very useful. So on our staff, we have a Marine named Nick, who for 8 years was on the front lines in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Mm.
And his job was to clear an area, I think, where the Army and the Marines would come in behind him and set up a camp permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And what he led his squad, I'm not sure what you call it, but what he really wanted was a device just to know that people are up and that their heart is beating.
Mm-hmm.
And this was very relevant for his line of work, as well as just being able to look over a wall, which is something else he could have done with a quadcopter.
Right.
So I think there is a role for simple monitoring if we understand the problem we're trying to solve,
Sure.
and robotics too.
Right. Right.
So we've been a little short on the robotic applications. I think we need more there, and I do think there is a good overlap between health and military that we haven't seen a ton of yet. I mean, we've seen more general medical.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, because I'm wondering if people are limiting themselves to what the kits are. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a good point.
Because-
I think we tried putting out, by the way, the kit isn't required for the
Right.
contest,
Right.
and you don't need to use what's in the kit. The
Right.
kit is just an idea generator.
Right. And I
It's
think
something to get people excited.
right. And so folks, if you guys are looking at these kits, well, first the kits are awesome. I was like, oh my gosh, a nebulizer kit. Super cool. I'll just make Whisker, like inhale some saline or something.
Oh boy.
Just for fun. But but at the same time, I have a lot of different electronics here at the house. I actually probably don't necessarily need the kit.
You know, the other thing that you can also consider
Mm-hmm.
are training applications. the office that's sponsoring this is for medical simulation.
Mm-hmm.
So things that are training aids that simulate things, that simulated instruments, things to train people to do things. Those would be really, really welcome.
So mannequin-based hardware.
Sure.
And whether you use a mannequin or not, just things that can help people train for things.
Sure.
Would be very, very welcome. And I don't think we've seen anything in that area yet.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And
well, Addie, we should ask you. You're a nurse. You're hiding that important detail.
yeah.
What are you doing on a daily basis that you think could be improved?
Well, it's actually very, very funny. I've been asking my coworkers, I'm like, okay, guys, if you had a robot that could do anything for you, what would it be? And they'd say things like, well, pick up my patient or clean the poop off, And I'm like, okay, that's all nice and good, but that's not quite what I'm looking for, And I have a few brains thinking about it. And for me, it's kind of difficult because since we're in a hospital setting, and like for us, we have monitors in every room, we have computers in every room. It's extremely easy already for us to get like your basic vital signs, right? And in terms of, I think you guys mentioned earlier, like timely pill dispensing, I guess. I imagine hospitals would probably do pretty well with some sort of robot, I guess, that delivered pills, So when they noticed that the stock in a certain unit of, I don't know, oxycodone, it was low, then the robot could be sent from the pharmacy up to the floor, refill the machines, and then that would save the pharmacy from having to send a tech up, right? So less man labor. Although that's not really giving pills to patients, but I don't know. I'm still. That's why I'm really interested, actually, in what the doctors and the any nurses are sending in.
Yeah, also you can make something that exists, but show how cheaply it could be done. Like, what if there were a field deployable ventilator?
Sure.
Could someone make something like that you could set the pressures to?
That'd be pretty impressive, actually.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
There are so many applications. Is what I think makes this contest exciting. Is that there is this huge range of possibilities.
Right. And it's
I'd
really
like to add in another idea too.
Sure.
So veterans returning home, ongoing health, obesity, at-home physical therapy monitoring, connecting these things over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen any application around that. I think that would be neat also, and entirely feasible.
We have one really cool physical therapy application, but there's only one. If you go in a physical therapy office, they always do like things you balance on and stuff like that. And I could see a propeller being used to make a simple game out of like balancing on a board, where a board balances on a rod. Therapy. I'd love to see some physical therapists submit some things.
Interesting. You could even do something where, so for patients doing like range of motion exercises, so that's like lifting your leg. Like that type
accelerometers.
Accelerometers, or even like
range of motion
quasi timers, or maybe sensors that show you how long you keep your leg up for. So like if you raise your right leg, and say the physical therapist wants you to raise it up 10 times, then every time you hit like maybe in some sort of IR beam break or whatever, it would count for you. Obviously you can count yourself if it's like 10 times.
Range of motion device with internet connectivity or email to your therapist.
Sure. That way the therapist knows that you're doing your job, doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you can keep track of your progress. And even for like patients with obesity, say they have an exercise regimen, right? And they want to do 10 crunches twice a day, then they can set like a certain location where their crunch has to reach to before it counts as one. Something like that. But I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Like if somebody sent something like that.
I think you could take the heart rate monitor and you could build a device that attaches to it that has a 3-axis accelerometer.
Mm-hmm.
And between those parameters, I think you would know if the patient's really doing it.
Right. Right.
Wired to a WizNet 5200 with Mike G's demo code.
Right. Right. Yeah. So then are you guys, how like, what's the word? Not fancy, do you guys want it, but how foolproof are you guys looking for this project to be? So like for instance, have you guys heard of the Fitbit by any chance?
The Fitbit's just a basic, it's a very primitive motion sensor sort of accelerometer sort of thing.
Right.
It just measures how much the thing shakes around during the day.
Right.
And they have a lot of great online, mobile, web-connected applications to look at your activity.
Right. It's like a pedometer, an online pedometer, essentially.
Yeah, something like that. Right on.
Now, the thing is, so a few of the guys at IBM tricked the Fitbit so it can measure height as well. So I think they were in an elevator and they walked around the elevator while the elevator was going up, and the Fitbit measured it as them taking the stairs. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you guys want relatively foolproof?
No.
Or is that
I
not?
think we're looking for kind of proof of concept sort of stuff.
Okay. Right.
I don't think we're looking for things that are foolproof. And, if you want to cheat an exercise app, you can. It's
Shake it a lot.
mm,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, with this kind of effort, 90% of the fun is really in the first 10% of the work, and making a product can really make you change your mind about where the fun really lies, once you do a few of them.
Sure.
But we're giving people the opportunity, 90% of the innovation, really with 10% of the effort. They don't have to produce a finished product.
Okay.
And
no,
Ken
I mean
knows what
it's
he's
kind
talking
of showing
about
what
there.
you can do.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I've got a hard stop here in 5 minutes because my computer is telling me it's going to reset.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not giving me the opportunity to delay it. A couple of the interesting things are what's going to come out of this contest. There's several different things that are going to come out of it. I mean, first of all, it's the $25,000 plus in prizes.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is we're going to have a really big shindig with some, DoD muckety-mucks. And we're going to have a cool, like, award ceremony sort of thing.
Sure.
But the thing is a lot of people in the Defense Department are going to see these ideas. We're going to put some really neat people on as judges and observers.
Mm-hmm.
So that we want to educate the military on what people can do for a relatively small investment. And so that's a big output. And then we're going to publish a book.
Oh.
There's an educational aspect to this contest. One is the Parallax Learn website related to the contest has online code examples and for most of the parts in the kit.
Mm-hmm.
And they have those code examples for Arduino and as well as the propeller.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that we're going to, write what we learned from the kit into a book that Carnegie Mellon Press is going to publish. And people who submit successful projects are going to get their projects in the book.
That's super cool.
So
Very nice.
That's cool too.
Yeah.
And I also think there'll be big bragging rights for the people that enter this contest.
Sure.
Because one thing we haven't seen yet are the people in medical simulation already.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to invite them soon to see, hey, are you going to get, outstaged by all these makers
Hobbyists.
and hobbyists? And, I'm going to try shaming a few of them into joining the contest.
Sure.
And I think there'll be some really big bragging rights and a lot of attention for those who win some of the prizes. And we're projecting 24 prizes in total.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them small, some as large as $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
I think 14 of those are in the educational track and 10 are in the general public category. And then we're going to have about 6 or 7 very special honorable mentions to some of those special applications, like who is the most creative use of the kit?
Mm-hmm.
or what was the best telemedicine or the best robotic application or something like that. We might need to add the best video as well, because we've gotten some interesting ones.
The videos are crack up. I wish we could show them on the show.
We
But
can do links.
it's really interesting. People, they really want to make the point about how badly they want to participate, and they're just so respectful of what we're doing. It's kind of impressive
Sure.
what they put into a minute.
Sure. Fantastic. Awesome. So, are there any questions that folks have asked a lot of that you guys want to take some time to answer now, since we have the time?
I can answer the one, Dr. Talbot, about licensing.
Ah, okay.
So we've not spelled out the license terms, but basically this is a Creative Commons, or if it's primarily code-based, MIT code.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an open source medical design contest. So others are welcome to work on your work and further it and produce it into something else. And we're clarifying that on our website right now.
Okay.
It's been a common question.
Yeah, so this isn't like a patent grab from the contest runners or anything like that. It's more community friendly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think it really benefits to the U.S. Army to have it in this way, because it should result in the lower cost items for them if we do get some good products developed from this.
Mm-hmm.
And something else to add is that if we really see a really awesome idea that we want to run with, we can end up making a topic like a small business innovative research grant, and there actually might be some serious money following this contest for a very compelling idea that comes out of it.
Sure. Sure.
And
I'd
we
like to
can't
add
commit
to
to anything
that.
in that area, but
You
it's
know,
always possible.
That's a huge benefit that people haven't really noticed yet. The recognition here is potentially massive. I mean, if you're a student, this is really one of those things that will get you into the college, that'll really push you in the way you want to go. If grades and SATs are not enough, I think this would be a big deciding factor.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. And it sounds like Doc is
Yep.
offline.
His computer rebooted. But we've only got a minute here left, so I think we can wrap it up, just the three of us here.
Sure. So, let's see. So, folks are encouraged to go to the site, which is, let's see, learn.parallax.com/contest/2013 National Micromedic, or Micromedic, actually. And if you guys just Google Parallax and Micromedic, then you'll get to the site too. There's an application form to fill out. And again, you don't necessarily need to know exactly what you're going to do. There's seems to be quite a bit of help on the forums and from the committee in terms of honing your project. There are, again, over $25,000 in prizes. Potential recognition is, for projects that are very useful, not just let's take your blood pressure and send it to no man's land. And final project submissions July 31st, and the winners are notified August 15th, I believe. Anything else to add to that, Ken?
Yeah, I just think we need to energize the community to jump in. I mean, we've been given an opportunity here that's purely around human health on, I think, a very positive side of what the Defense Department does. So let's show what we could do.
Absolutely. And it's kind of cool because I'm trying to get our hackerspace to potentially form a team. And these are, some of our digital signal processing gurus at Mayo Clinic and IBM, and if they're
Yeah, this town hosts one of the most advanced medical centers in the world, and IBM's Supercomputer Research Center.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people who work at those places hang out here on Friday nights. So yeah, we might have a little bit of ammunition in our locker.
Yep. So I look forward to seeing what the other teams do. But it looks like we are out of time this week.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Hey, anytime.
All right. So that's it for us for this week. You guys can find this show every Tuesday evening at firstspin.tv.
Mm-hmm.
There's an RSS link there on the page if you want to automatically get it downloaded to your your phone, iTunes, whatever. Or you could just listen to it on the page. A lot of people do it that way.
Yep.
That's it for us. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye now.